Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the December 11th, 2025 meeting of the Abington Township Board of Commissioners. May I have a roll call, please? Is she muted?
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me, Liz?
Hey, well, I'm here.
All right, I'm going to do the roll call while we figure out the technical stuff. Commissioner Brodsky? Rothman?
Here.
DePlacido?
Here.
Laney Martin?
Here.
Brown? Weingrad?
Here.
Henry?
Here.
Zappone? Here. Young Gertz?
Here.
Spiegelman?
Here.
Bold?
Here.
Schreiber?
Here.
Bowman?
Here.
Vahey?
Here.
Hecker? Here. May we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was a very fast roll call.
I am nowhere, Liz doesn't have to worry about her job. I'm not good at that.
President Hecker, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry.
I had a little technical difficulty there.
That's all right, Liz. You don't have to worry about me doing roll call here ever again.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Thank you.
I have just one quick announcement before we get on to public comment on agenda items. And if there's anyone here tonight, either in the room or on Zoom, that is here to speak to items either E or F, we are going to be having separate public hearings for those items, and we will take public comment as part of the hearing for items E and F. For everything else, you're welcome to come forward now. If anyone wishes to speak to what's on the agenda, please come forward. State your name and address and what you wish to speak. Go ahead. You don't have to actually give us your address, just that you're a resident. You already started, yeah, please restart the clock at 3 minutes. There you go. You may start now.
Board meetings prioritize and carefully record the statements of those that agree 100% with commissioners. Citizens that voice any dissatisfaction are censored. Example, in October, on the 2nd, citizens spoke of the lack of transparency in relation to the budget. The failure of Ms. Herman and Mr. Chrisman to reply to email was cited. The unnecessary denial of right to knows, the failure to accommodate citizens, and the withholding of information were the crux of these two citizens' statements. A partner in Mr. Clark's law firm was trolling citizens on Nextdoor for demonstrating budget concern. All of this emphasized information was censored from the minutes. Meetings are not videotaped from start to finish. The black screen is utilized to protect Mr. Hecker and other commissioners from having their actions and words recorded. The appearance of a disturbance is created by going to black screen, sometimes for less than a minute. Mr. Hecker bangs his gavel and goes to black screen when basically nothing has happened. The intention is to build a hostile environment and to intimidate citizens that are against the scripted agenda. Me, for instance. Following the July board meeting, Mr. Malloy claimed I yelled from the back of the room. Cameras are everywhere in this room, on all 4 walls, and maybe even the ceiling. These video cameras are evidence that I was sitting at the front of the board meeting the whole entire time and never yelled out. Mr. Malloy lied to please commissioners that are against free speech. The word horrible was inserted into the video and it has been adjusted numerous times for volume. The voice on the audio is not mine and cannot be seen coming from my mouth. Township videos are doctored and re-edited months and possibly years later.
That's insane.
There is no reliable history of meetings being kept. Tax money pays for doctored distortions that are continually manipulated. Why is the solicitor involved with reviewing police reports? I have been told by several people who are very knowledgeable that the 3 complaints of township harassment submitted by me were trashed by the solicitor. Is this type of oversight by a solicitor viewed as appropriate? These reported incidents included 3 wellness checks designed to intimidate me. Is anyone being held accountable for purposely not maintaining records? I am being harassed for years now.
Please conclude your
for asking
comments.
code
Your time has
enforcement
expired,
and
Ms. Cavell.
commissioners to handle, it didn't even do it yet,
Well, now-
handle severe blight
Ms.
and
Cavell?
dangerous quality of life issues.
Thank you for your comments. Take your seat. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak here this evening? All right, anyone on Zoom that wishes to speak to the agenda?
Laura Lehman.
Are you there?
Ms. Lehman, you have to unmute yourself.
What are A and E? Are they the ordinances and the budget?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I could not hear what you said.
Ones that you are dealing with
The
separate?
ordinances, E and F, are the 2 that are having public hearings as laid out in the agenda.
Only the 2 ordinances, not the budget?
Do you
Doesn't
see
have
the
a separate-
agenda, Ms. Lehman, where it says public hearing for items E and F? That's what we're talking about.
I don't see that. I'm not looking at it. That's why when you say you're.
It's on the screen.
I'm not looking, my screen.
Okay, well,
my
so
screen-
to your point, it's
my
items E and
screen-
F, it is the 2 ordinances. The budget is not a separate public hearing, and that is something, if you wish to comment, you can certainly do so now.
Yes, please start my minutes now.
We haven't started it, so please go.
Okay, all right. So first of all, way too many things on this agenda. This is outrageous to have an agenda this large. You can't even say one sentence about very important things. Mr. Narkowitz should not have his contract extended. He was part of the fraud of the comprehensive plan, trying to convince people there were all these properties that needed to be built because of people coming in. And it turns out that was not the case at all. And he was part of that. Please don't encourage that. The website, no one that I know was asked. I didn't see commissioners asking their residents at all what they wanted to have on the new website. So if you did a survey and a few people saw it, that was certainly not ubiquitous in the community, and it needed to be. You're advertising new meeting rules. I'm not sure I've even found that. I haven't found that because you have so many pages of the agenda that it is impossible to manage. They'll tell you, I assume my budget comments are coming now. Is that correct? That is correct. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so what the budget was a complete bamboozle. We have millions and millions of dollars of excess in the OPEB fund, in the sewer fund that you're going to make a separate fund for. We have them in the general fund, millions and millions of dollars. And this 4% tax increase is going to get you something like $850,000, and it will go year after year. You'll keep getting that. And it is absolutely, it was sold as though it was needed based on, for instance, the appeal of the mall's assessment and saying that assessments were going to be much lower. The mall hasn't had its assessment approved, or had not at the time of that presentation. Has it since then been approved? An assessment appeal for the mall?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, not to mine either. So to actually tax us based on those reduced assessments, and you are getting a completely unnecessary hike. You had a 39% hike just a few years ago, on top of which you had $19 million given to you for COVID.
All right, Ms.
So-
Lehman, I'm going to ask you to wind up your comments. Your time has expired.
Is that a full 3 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, so let me finish my comments then. These increases, do not set a new fund for yourself that you can reach in and do things for. Those millions of dollars should be used to not have a tax increase. Yes, they are sewer, but it's your job as legislators to amend those rules when you have this kind of an excess, to keep taxes from being improperly imposed. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I think we have one other person that wishes to speak.
Ross Abel.
Hey there, Ross Abel, Washington Lane. I just real quick wanted to hop in and say I totally approve the renewing the contract with Mike Narkowicz. I think Mike is an awesome planner, and I love all the work that he did on the comp plan. So I just want to say I support that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think there's one other resident.
Connie.
Good evening.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Sorry.
can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, got that thing shut off. Okay, yeah, I just want to make a comment related to the budget. Is this appropriate at this time?
That's fine, yes.
Okay, my name's Connie Briggs. I live in Roslyn. I'm an Abington resident. I just wanted to thank the Board of Commissioners for your service throughout the year. And as we look forward to 2026, I hope we can strengthen the partnership between the township and its residents, because there's been some bad feeling about lack of transparency or perceived lack of transparency. Either way, I hope we can work together better in 2026 on the challenges we all share, especially the challenges that residents feel most directly affects them, rapidly rising property taxes. Abington's facing structural financial pressures, as Chris Chrisman mentioned in the talk he gave on October 16th. They require a township-wide strategy. The most significant examples of Willow Grove Mall assessment appeal, which could reduce annual property tax revenue by $1 million or more. This is not a short-term issue. It affects the township's fiscal outlook for many years. While the EDC, the Economic Development Corporation, is working on the Keswick Village area, which is its focus, it seems. Residents are looking for a comprehensive effort that addresses commercial conditions and revenue risk across the entire township. I also want to raise the issue of long-term fiscal planning. The township strategic plan emphasizes fiscal sustainability, predictability, and responsible decision-making. However, the strategic plan does not include or reference any multi-year financial plan. Many nearby municipalities publish 5 to 10-year forecasts so residents and elected officials can understand future tax pressures and revenue trends. Our comprehensive plan looks ahead to 2035, but it focuses on land use, development, and community planning. It does not include the type of long-term financial modeling that helps the public understand how today's decisions affect future tax levels. I may have missed it, but I was not able to find any multi-year financial plan or any document that provides long-term revenue and expenditure projections on the township website or in the budget materials. So my question tonight is, does Abington have a multi-year financial plan? If not, is it something the township could develop in 2026 with opportunities for residents' input to learn about the process and provide input? I believe this would greatly improve transparency, predictability, and public confidence. Thank you again, and I look forward to the possibility of working together in 2026. I was just wondering if anybody could answer that question now, if we have this multi-year financial plan, please. Thank you.
Mr. Chrisman, is there anything you want to say in response to that?
I think as we look to develop future budgets, we'll look at long-term planning for the township, and we can certainly include multi-year planning to help as a tool for the board to make some decisions as far as taxes are concerned.
Yeah, I mean, in my day job, we do this all the time, and at the same time, we recognize the further you go out, the less confidence you can have in the numbers because of all the variables that intervene in years 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's right.
But you always update those things, so I think there's an opportunity there.
I also think, if I could,
Yeah.
quickly,
Yeah.
there are opportunities throughout the fiscal year that the township should be providing regular, routine budget updates to the board. You know, when we look
Yes,
at it on
that's
a
a good
quarterly
point.
basis. I found that over the years that that's been very helpful, because, you know, when you look at it in a vacuum, as we are with the budget that's before you tonight,
Yep.
you know, you're assuming certain conditions.
Yes.
Conditions change as time goes on, so as we look at this quarter over quarter, we can then look at real-time numbers as it affects the township, and that will help decision-making
I think
as we
that's
move
great.
forward.
So we can build that in with the new schedule. We can build that in for the.
It would be
course
part of a
the-
regular board
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah.
So
We'll
we'll do
just,
that.
with whatever cadence you think is appropriate.
Perfect,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you, Chris. All right, well, with that, we are going to turn it over to the consent agenda and Board Vice President Matt Vahey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for passage of the consent agenda listed as items A through D. And I so move.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda carries. We have no unfinished business this evening. We're going to turn immediately to new business, and I will turn it back to Board Vice President Matt Vahey.
First item of new business is BOC-05-121125. Motion to adopt the annual budget of the Township of Abington for fiscal year 2026, tax levy and appropriation ordinance number 2239. And I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there comments or questions from members of the board? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Next item is BOC-06-121125. Presentation and update on the new township website.
Good evening, Ashley.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today, and thank you for the investment that the board continues to make in communication. So tonight, I'm going to present an update on township websites. You heard that right, that's plural. In 2025, the Board of Commissioners approved funding for the township to move to one platform, Civic Plus. And so through that, we consolidated 5 separate websites onto one platform. So today, if a resident goes on any of our websites, the township has a website, the police department, the fire department, we have the Peak Agenda and Minute software, and then we also have ActiveNet, our Parks and Recreation software. And the difficulty of that is that they don't always communicate with one another. Sometimes it's a challenge with staff in order to keep all of those sites updated. And so that 2025 budget allowed us the opportunity to consolidate those sites so that we can increase the effectiveness of getting the information out to residents, as well as the search tool. That's a big complaint that we get, that we don't always, can't find what you're looking for, and that's because some of these websites aren't always communicating. So I'd first like to thank Grace Sekaluski, who's been the project manager on this. Without her, we would not be here. She's been coordinating with all of the departments on making sure the information is up to date and that they're providing everything they need to. Kate Messenger has been the point person for the police department. Chris Platts has been the point person for the fire department's website. Teresa Castorina has been the point person for the agenda software. And Patty Platt's been the point person for the Civic Rec update. So with that, I'm going to show you the new website.
Drum roll or anything?
I
like
know,
that?
I'm excited. So here we have our new website. Immediately, you see across the headers is going to be the table of contents. This is something that we've heard resident feedback on as a challenge with the menu bar and being able to navigate that. So here we have our kind of traditional layout that residents can find those pages and then start to dive in a little bit further. We then go down and we see our quick links. These are our hot topics, what people are searching, and we can see that back in the back end and be able to populate these to make sure they're relevant with the time. So obviously in the summer, you're going to see pools here. We're going to change these out as needed. And then we scroll down, we have our news. This carousel can populate as many news items as we want. Right now, that is not the case, so information will remain relevant and easily accessible. And then this is one of my favorite pieces, is the calendar. I think January kind of does a better job to what I'm going to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
But we see here immediately, we see the grid. We can see those dates that are highlighted so we know something's happening. And then on the right-hand side, we see the breakout of the meetings in an easy-to-find format. It's not that carousel that we have today where information can get lost. And also, if there are multiple events on one day, we'll see those listed here, so it makes it easy and convenient. And then residents can toggle between meetings or events.
Can they hit those actual things on the date, like under, like, go back to the January one?
Oh, sorry.
So the Board of Commissioners meeting, like on January 8th?
Yep.
Can you, and if you hit that, do you get the agenda and the?
Yeah,
Okay.
you are going exactly where I was headed. And I apologize, I'm going to go back to December because we queued this up for the Planning Commission meeting. So if a resident were to click on the Planning Commission meeting, now that the agenda software is also under this platform, you get taken to the event details, but right in the corner, you can click on Download Agenda. And so what that does then is it pulls up the agenda information immediately, right in there. And then we see the agenda packet that a resident can go through. And then what's also nice about this is that you can toggle between the item that you're interested in. You don't have to go through the entire agenda. So it's going to kind of expedite residents finding information. And then as we continue kind of down, we see again just the contact us information, popular pages, site links. We really focused on kind of hitting the key points where residents want their information, making sure it's easily found and accessible, versus our page now, which is somewhat lengthy and doesn't always take you to where you expect. We also have our social media buttons here and then the search tool. So I'm going to jump to the police department's website now, which you see here mirrors the same framework as the township website. That was intentional. We want residents to see and be able to navigate the website with the same approach, that they know where things are and what to expect and how to find them. Again, this is branded to the police department. This is, their images, their top pages, but it is almost identical to our township website in regards to its layout. Similarly, with the fire department, it's the fire department's branding. It's their social media, it's their pictures, it's their hot topics. A little bit different than ours. They have a lot of videos and they're great, so they want them prominent. So again, it's in quick links, news, events. So it's all now under our one domain, which is incredibly important when we think about that search tool and making sure that all of that information is accessible. What's really nice too is the agenda and minutes software, like I said, is in here, so that's going to populate as well. And then we also have the additional investment into Civic Rec. So right now we use ActiveNet for our Parks and Recreation software. We're going to be unveiling Civic Rec in time for the spring and summer activities and pool memberships, which will be fantastic and a massive improvement because with Civic Rec, residents will be able to have their pool pass on their phone. So we are getting away from the physical passes, which is going to be a huge improvement and really just increase efficiency. So
Ashley, the 1990s called and they thank you.
yeah, right? As of now, we are targeting the unveil of all of these sites to be Wednesday, December 17th, so next Wednesday.
That was going to be the next question.
This will go live.
All right.
For residents, nothing's going to change. All the URLs are staying the same. The township website's www.abingtonpa.gov. The police department's website is www.abingtonpd.org. And the fire department's website is www.abingtonfd.org. So with that, any questions?
Well, before we get to questions, I just want to say thank you. This is extraordinary work. You and everyone involved, Grace, Tara, everybody. We get lots of complaints about the website, which was definitely better than the one that existed prior to that, which I think was... The one that existed prior to that. But, as we see in a digital age where the advances are happening exponentially and not linearly, it's good to do a refresh in this day. And having all of these platforms together, because essentially before, you could only search within the platform and it wasn't talking to... It was problematic. So
Absolutely.
I'm delighted by this work. I'm delighted that we're going live. And I want to thank you and everyone involved for these efforts.
No.
And with that, I will open it up for questions. And Commissioner Spiegelman, you're... I will never forget Commissioner Bowl.
Ashley, you just leapfrogged SEPTA by like a generation, so you should probably, maybe get a side gig with them because they could use this. This is This is fantastic. As someone who served as sort of the minority caucus representative of probably the first website update committee a long, long time ago, this is the dream. This is absolutely beautiful. Question about the search function. Because one thing that I know your residents have expressed their frustrations to me, and I've experienced these frustrations many times, trying to search for anything on the township website. I mean, where to search is simple and straightforward, but the results that come up are not particularly helpful. They're not in any discernible order, certainly not in chronological order. It's hard to tell what kind of relevance metrics are being used to populate. It's just kind of a mishmash. And if you're searching for something that's relevant today, you might end up from some archival page from 2006 or something. So has that been addressed?
So right now, this is a test site, so I can't demonstrate to you what it would look like. We'd have to wait until it goes live. But we have been playing around with the search function on other Civic Plus websites just to see how everything integrates. And it appears to be integrating based off date. And so the most relevant in terms of time would come up first. I will say that Grace has been coordinating with the departments to ensure that we're not bringing over legacy information that doesn't make sense anymore, or pages that were hidden, which is part of kind of that problem. So this is a very cleaned up version. The documents that we needed, what we really wanted to have, we brought over, and then obviously we have things in our archive, but we feel very confident in that search function. And I think just the 5 websites together is going to be incredible. It's the only word for it. I'm excited.
Very excited. Thank you for including a picture that includes me up in that. That's really all I care about.
It's still in test mode.
Yeah, well, we're waiting for feedback.
Yeah.
I don't want to hold up Commissioner Bowling.
Yeah, Commissioner
because he's
Bowling,
important.
Commissioner Henry.
He's important to me.
I echo the thanks to you and the team. It looks great. I think I can read the third bulletin. That's report and issue or report. Is that similar to the citizen service
That is
request tool?
that is the citizen service request tool.
Okay. Does that, when you click that, you don't have to do it now, does that link to?
It goes directly into the service request system.
Okay. Which is a different functionality and a different
That-
technology.
yes, that
so that
is.
in particular will remain the same. The
That
citizen
will,
service. Okay.
but we are currently working through updates to that program now, also
Okay.
based off board feedback. One of those things that we're working with is getting a script so people get notified when the status changes.
Yep.
All of those things we've been hearing about.
Meeting's adjourned. I'm good.
Yeah, we are working on, and again, that's thanks to all of you for investing in this, because it's giving us the opportunity to hear the feedback that you provide to us, and we're striving to make it all work.
Yeah, it's great. It's terrific, and I'm thrilled that it's right on the front page. It's terrific. So congrats. Thanks.
Commissioner Henry.
The calendar, once the date goes by and things happen, will that be populated with the information from past, like from the previous one? I don't know if this is a thing, but this is a thing that I would love if I were using it, that I could go to last month's meeting and find there the minutes and the videos and whatnot from what's just already passed and go back. I don't know if that happens. And I imagine that there's so much archive that you wouldn't necessarily have to go way, way back, but does that happen going forward?
So I know all of the information is dedicated on the agendas page, so any meeting that you would want with the minutes and videos there, we'll have to look into whether or not it would be depicted on the calendar after the meeting. So for example, tonight's meeting, what you're saying, somebody goes in, they go to the calendar, they go to that page, we'll have to get you an answer on that. I am not sure. I know the agenda packet appears when it's forthcoming, but I'm not sure if that transitions after.
So Ashley, this is going way back, and I'm sure that Lori and Tom and John remember this, and there wasn't a lot that was great about previous iterations of the website, but the one thing was there was a page where you had for the meetings, and it had a link to every meeting agenda, video, and minutes for the entire year. And after that year was over, it would go to an archive page, but at least the stuff from that year could be easily accessed as opposed to it going somewhere after the meeting is over. You know what I mean? Like, once our meeting is done tonight, you
I know
can't-
what page you are talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if our agendas page will mirror that. I mean, we'll have the archive. Right now, it's by year and by meeting type.
We can talk about
But I
that.
know the grid you're referring to.
Yeah, it was just easy, and you could go at any, because I'm like, oh, this happened at the June meeting, let me go watch this for, and it's harder to do that now.
Yeah, and we are pulling in the historical data. We're pulling in what we have currently on peak.
Yep.
And then those grids that you're talking to, the ones that are on our current website today are being transitioned. That information's being transitioned over. It's not in the same exact format.
Understood.
But it's all on one page.
That's great. Other comments or questions for Ashley? Again, thank you for the outstanding efforts here. This is really a great thing for the community and for everyone, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Vice President Behe.
Okay, next item is BOC-07-121125. Motion to approve land development number 25-03, the Nobletown Center South Parking Improvements, the preliminary final land development plans, and adopt resolution number 25-034, and I so move.
It has been moved and seconded. Does anyone have comments or questions? Commissioner Weingrab.
Thank you. I think I was going to call up Mr. Hassan, and I know from the last meeting, the working session, there were certain issues that still had to be addressed, and just to make sure that they were in fact addressed.
Good evening, Cal.
Yeah, since we issued our December 8th, 2025. Thank you. Since we issued our December 8th, 2025 review letter on the revised documentation submitted, the applicant has addressed pretty much all the comments that had been identified in our prior letter that we had issued on October 10th of 2025. The one remaining item which the applicant is working on right now is the preparation of a traffic study or report, if you will, just to confirm that there's a traffic safety, there is no traffic safety issues from crossings or what have you, and also for the circulation due to the new improvements and layout of the parking area. I know the applicant is working on that. Should this project move forward, all these will be looked at and confirmed by me and my team before the project is going for recording. This is pretty much the main outstanding comment on this. Anything else had been addressed.
Okay, and you're satisfied, everything to your satisfaction in order for this to move forward?
I am, yes. I'm satisfied, and like I said, I assure the commissioners, I will make sure that the traffic-related comment is addressed by the applicant before they move to recording.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cal.
Thanks.
Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Next item is BOC-08-121125. Motion to approve the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Abington's tax-exempt bonds reimbursement resolution number 25-035. And I so move.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or questions from members of the board? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Next item is BOC-09-121125. Public hearing and adoption of ordinance number 2236 of Abington Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, pursuant to Article 5 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, amending the Abington Township subdivision and land development ordinance of 1991 to amend section 146-51 to permit a waiver of the land development plan approval process for partial non-conforming structure restoration. And I so move.
Second.
Okay. It is,
Now have a motion to open the public hearing.
yes, we have a motion to open the public hearing. Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Public hearing is over. Has it been opened? Solicitor Clark, the floor is yours.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, as Commissioner Vehe said, to amend the subdivision and land development ordinance. This is an ordinance of Abington Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, pursuant to Article 5 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, amending the Abington Township subdivision and land development ordinance of 1991 to amend section 146-51 to permit a waiver from the land development plan approval process for a partial non-conforming structure restoration. This public hearing has been advertised in a newspaper of general circulation on 2 occasions as required by law. on November 26, 2025, and again on December 3rd, 2025. As we have discussed several times during the last few months regarding this saldo, this matter was brought to our attention after the catastrophic fire at SPS Technologies, and it was at that time that we realized that there was a sort of a hole in our weakness in our ordinance, our zoning ordinance, and also in our subdivision ordinance. This is meant to address that. The amendment adds to the town's existing processes for waivers for land development. The process would be solely applicable for reconstructions of non-conforming structures that house conforming uses that were destroyed more than 50% of the value in a catastrophic event. The process requires compliance with all zoning, building, and other code standards as applicable, and only permits the process to be applied where the reconstruction would not otherwise increase the impact on the surrounding community. The intention of this process is that reconstruction most often does not require the extensive analysis for earth moving and stormwater since the site is already developed. The process provides oversight for redevelopment without putting an applicant through the process not designed for rebuilding. The right to the waiver is within the sole discretion of the Board of Commissioners and need not be granted if the board determines that land development should be required based on the scale and scope of the project. And since it has been raised a couple of times during our last couple of meetings, the ordinance, if adopted, would require that the applicant would have to comply with the current stormwater management regulations in the township. So even if they had existing facilities that complied to the old regulations, they would have to show that they comply with the current regulations. At this point in time, we would ask anyone who would like to make public comment to come forward, state their name and whether they are a resident of Abington, and then they will have 3 minutes to make public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to make public comment?
Please come forward, sir.
My name's Robert Hughes. I live in Glenside. Some of you know me.
Good evening.
So I think what you're asking for is to not have SBS do storm management?
No, that's not what we're saying.
Okay,
They're going to
so-
have to do storm management to comply with our current regulations.
Okay, so what are they asking for? I'm not understanding.
This is not what SBS is asking for. This is what the township has determined was a weakness in our subdivision and land development ordinance, and we are, a building that is destroyed, like SPS was, would be able to rebuild without having to go through a full land development process, as determined by
But
the
they're
township
still going to have to
officials.
conform
Yes.
to the current water management systems.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I wanted.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I think this is going to affect.
Please state your name and whether or not you're an Abington resident before the clock will start.
Adele Cubell, and of course I am an Abington resident. I think this is going to affect a lot of other properties besides the one that you're speaking about. We have whole streets that are owned by developers at this point, and all of them need to go through every single process again and again to make sure this area is safe. This area is not safe with what's going on right now. And I think every process should be taken again and again and checked by an outside group even, that you don't pick. It's that bad. There are so many developments of apartments that you're not telling us about, but it's clearly the whole street's owned by developers, and every single one of them, including SPF, should be going through the process from start to finish again and again, and outsiders should be coming in and doing it. It's that bad, what we have going on here.
And
Sir?
board members, just to be clear, this saldo amendment only applies to pre-existing non-conforming structures that house conforming uses that are destroyed more than 50% of their value in a catastrophic event.
Thank you. I believe there is a resident on Zoom that wishes to speak.
Ross Abel.
Hello, Ross Abel, can you hear me okay?
Yes, Ross, thank you.
Awesome. I am on Washington Lane in Ward 7. Good evening to the board in our township. I'm a local advocate with Jigtown, Abington Neighbors, and Bike Montgomery County. I want to start by saying I'm excited for the potential benefits that SPS's redevelopment can offer our community. And I appreciate that township management encouraged us to meet directly with SPS to talk about the future of their site along Tookenny Creek. A small cross-municipal group that I am part of has met with David at SPS and shared a letter and concept deck that focuses on 3 ideas that could be incredible for both our community and the environment. Modern on-site green stormwater infrastructure, a strong riparian buffer behind the site, and if possible, a publicly accessible walk and bike trail connection along Tookenny Creek that could one day tie into our regional circuit trails. Imagine employees and neighbors being able to step out for a quiet walk along the water on their lunch break, kids riding bikes under trees, and families using the creek as a safe green way to move between towns. Our neighbors in 3 bordering municipalities are now talking about this proposal in their own spaces, and we're hopeful that SPS will be able to come back with some positive reactions. I know tonight's vote is about the partial restoration land development waiver, not a specific plan from SPS. And I understand that the SPS still has to meet current township, county, and state stormwater requirements. This stretch of the Tookenny, including the segment flagged in the 2015 Army Corps study, is exactly the kind of place where Abington can show progress on its MS4 obligations with better volume control, filtration, and a healthier buffer. My ask is that as SPS moves towards any waiver and ultimately a full site design, you treat this as a priority MS4 opportunity and give clear direction to staff and the engineer to look seriously at on-site BMPs, riparian buffer improvements, and a future public access easement along Tookenny Creek as part of those conversations. We've already shared our concept materials with both SPS and township staff, and I hope you will keep those ideas on the table as plans are refined. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. And I believe there's another resident that wishes to speak.
Laura Lehman.
Also Abington resident. So my concern is that when you bring these ordinances in like this that affect many, many properties, it should be your job to show what other properties in the township could conceivably fall under this. And again and again and again, when you do these ordinances that affect so many, you show only one property. And the fallout from that can be disastrous for other communities. And there are other reasons that following the rules that are the current rules would be available. I heard you say that the stormwater would be totally, completely up to date. I'm glad to hear that. That did not seem to be the case before, but I'm glad to hear that. But there are other aspects that new development has to go under, and there should be no reason that they don't go under it. And in addition, our engineer should be reviewing what their engineer and the appropriate agency submits. He should not be both the reviewer and the person doing it. And I don't want to pay my engineer to do their engineering. So I think this is wrong to pass these in this way, and it's really just doing a favor for SPS. And I think we have to stop doing favors for them and just have them comply with the law. It can't be that difficult to comply with the law. The particular incident at SPS affected unbelievable number of families. And I think we never saw an investigation get wrapped up so quickly.
Okay.
And also be done by the very people who were partly responsible for where some of the chemicals and whatnot are kept. So I'm concerned about this kind of thing. So I would recommend that you not pass this and that you have them follow the rules to finish it's not that much more expensive to follow the rules. It's important that they do. Thank you.
I think that is the end of the public comment. If you wish to come forward, please do so.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Hi.
My name is Patricia Gallagher. I'm an Abington resident. The way this ordinance was explained to me was this. If a fire burns down 49% of a structure and it's a non-conforming use, that structure can be rebuilt without going through a full land development process. If a structure is 51% destroyed, it cannot be rebuilt without going through a full land development process. Do I understand this correctly? Because it seems like the other public comment is alluding to things that I'm completely not aware of.
I'm going to defer to the solicitor.
What you've said is, with one exception, is accurate. It's a conforming use in a non-conforming structure. So what that means is there is a pre-existing non-conforming structure that has a conforming use in it. If you had a non-conforming use, you'd have to go get a variance for that, a use variance. But everything else you said about the 49% and the 51% is accurate.
Okay, so if a developer owns an entire block, can they just go in and avoid a full land development review?
Well, I mean, not to be crass, but first, the property that they own would have to be destroyed by fire by 51% or more.
Okay.
Right? So it doesn't, like, it
They
has-
can't just go in and knock
No,
down the
it has-
building?
The
Right.
language in the ordinance is specific to it being destroyed, catastrophic loss of greater than 50% of the structure.
Okay, so a tornado, a natural disaster, a
Yes.
flood?
All true.
Okay, so it's not like a developer can just come in and knock down all these buildings and
They
say...
can't do that today. This ordinance doesn't allow them to do that either.
Okay, thank you. You've addressed my questions.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? And then I'm going to open it up for comments from the commissioners. Yeah. All right. Commissioner Weingrad. Do you want to? Commissioner Behe, you should go first. Yes.
I think a lot of the clarification we got from the solicitor addressed some of the misinformation during public comment, but the one thing I do want to address was the concept that SPS ran the investigation into the cause of this fire. That was an investigation run by our fire marshal in collaboration with the ATF. So that was an independent investigation. People should not be scaring residents about impropriety and finding out what happened in this building. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Behe. Commissioner Weingrad.
Thank you. I guess maybe this is a question for the solicitor, but what does the waiver process look like? I mean, would an applicant have to come in with a full plan and then say, well, based on this ordinance, we're petitioning to waive it? So they'd have to show us anyway what they're doing?
It is going to look very, very similar to any other land development process. It's just that you may not be seeing the type of, some of the type of reports if they are determined internally that they're not necessary. If they don't need any zoning relief regarding parking, if the engineer makes a determination that the stormwater facilities on site meet current regulations, they don't have to do the full stormwater report. If a determination is made that there doesn't need to be a traffic study because the amount of square footage and the amount of people who are going to be working there and the traffic patterns are less of an impact than what was there originally, then they won't need to do a traffic study. But they're still going to have to come to you, and whether or not to grant that waiver is solely within the discretion of the Board of Commissioners. And if you decide to deny the waiver, doesn't mean you're denying the project,
You're
you mean
denying that
you're denying
piece
the
of it.
waiver, and then they'd have to go through all of those.
To go through it all.
Okay, so even if it was this board's interest, it would still have to go through the land development process
Correct.
anyway?
Correct.
Okay.
It's kind of a misnomer when you say a waiver of land development. You're just waiving all of the requirements of the land development process. Or you're not waiving all of them, excuse me, you're waiving parts of the
Yeah.
requirements of the land development process.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Solicitor Clark, just to be clear, so us agreeing to a waiver of a specific piece, when they go through their process, their construction process, just for people that are listening, like, this is not any attempt to obviate the requirements that are there, like when they put electrical or plumbing in that building, that's going to be checked to make sure. So this is not anything along those lines.
Correct. They still have to comply with zoning. They still have to comply with all our building codes. They still have to get all of their permits. Everything will be inspected. Our engineer, Mr. Hassan, who spoke earlier, his team will review everything that's submitted. Our code department will review everything.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Spiegelman? Oh, Laney Martin, you go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to clear, is this for commercial properties only, this ordinance will apply, or will it be commercial and residential?
It's commercial.
Oh, it is
It's
just commercial?
That's what I wanted to know. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Spiegelman?
Thank you, President Hecker. So I interacted with a lot of folks when this was posted on the Township Facebook page, and then it's a bunch of stuff I shared in my newsletter, and had some very, very productive back and forth helping people, trying to help people understand what this is all about. One question that just came to me today, I didn't have a chance to reach out about it. This is for you, Solicitor Clark. If the stormwater management of a property is current, the property affected by a non-conforming structure affected by a disaster. If the stormwater management is current, or they're saying that their stormwater management is current, absolutely up to our latest regulations on MS4, during the process, during, say, the waiver application process, do they have to submit some sort of proof of that, just some whatever evidence? There's some kind of burden of proof, right?
They'll have to satisfy your engineer.
Perfect.
Yep.
That's.
And just to clarify one other thing, I don't know if I completely misunderstood the comment, but our engineer will not be designing any project. It'll be designed by the owner's engineer and then reviewed by Mr. Hassan and his team.
Thank you for that clarification. Yeah, it's an important distinction, as is, again, to reiterate to folks, this is not something that SPS directed or designed or asked for or wrote up. This was something discovered as a result of this unprecedented catastrophe. We discovered weaknesses and deficiencies in two ordinances, in the Saldo and the zoning ordinance, which we'll be handling in item 5. Momentarily, as soon as I shut up and we can move forward. And I'm going to do just that. Thank you very much.
Any further comments or questions from members of the board? Okay, so then it would be appropriate to close the hearing, right? You want to make a motion?
Motion to close the hearing.
And second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The hearing is closed, and then I will call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Next item of new business is BOC-10-12125. It's a motion to open a public hearing and adopt for the adoption of ordinance number 2237 of Abington Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, pursuant to Article 6 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, amending the Abington Township zoning ordinance of 2017 to amend Section 1904 to allow partial reconstruction of a non-conforming building or structure for a permitted use. And I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
No, we need a public hearing.
Oh, I thought
on
that's
this
what
as
he-
well.
I thought
That-
this-
This is a motion to open the public hearing.
Right, that's what I...
Oh, was that your motion?
That's what his motion
Then-
was,
Then
yes.
I
Fix it.
apologize. I
Yeah.
should be paying attention.
All those in favor of opening the hearing?
Aye.
Any
Very
opposed?
emphatic.
Floor is yours, Solicitor Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Hecker. This is a public hearing to amend the zoning ordinance of Abington Township. It's an ordinance of Abington Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, pursuant to Article 6 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, amending the Abington Township zoning ordinance of 2017 to amend Section 1904 to allow partial reconstruction of a non-conforming building or structure for a permitted use. Pursuant to the law, this has been advertised on 2 occasions, and I moved my papers around, so it has been advertised in a paper of local general circulation on November 26, 2025, and again on December 3rd, 2025. This zoning amendment would address a weakness in the zoning code related to the reconstruction of non-conforming structures destroyed greater than 50% of their value by a catastrophic event. The amendment would leave intact the restrictions on reestablishment of a non-conforming use, as well as the option to rebuild where less than 50% of the value of a non-conforming structure housing a conforming use is affected. However, where a conforming use is housed in a non-conforming structure that was subsequently destroyed greater than 50% of the value in a catastrophic event, the amendment will provide an opportunity to rebuild up to 75 of the previous gross floor area. No nonconformities are permitted to be expanded. The nonconforming building must also be initiated within 18 months of the catastrophic event. The amendment also references partial nonconforming structure waiver, which is the subject of the Saldo amendment, which you just passed. If there are any members of the public who wish to make comment on this proposed zoning amendment, please come forward, state your name and whether or not you are an Abington resident. Seeing no one in the room approaching the podium, is there anyone online who would like to make comment?
Laura Lehman.
Yes, the first thing that I'd like to say is this is a habit that the commissioners have had long-standing, and it is absolutely wrong. You are not supposed to speak after a speaker and undo what they said unless you also give the speaker a chance to address what you just said. So what Mr. Vahey said and what was said elsewhere, that is inappropriate. And Robert's Rules of Order and almost all ethical rules of order do not allow the people on the dais to undo the words of the people who are commenting to them. So I think it needs to stop. Mr. Spiegelman did that at the last finance meeting. Those actions undermine the rights of the residents to fair comment. So my comments would be the same as that I don't believe special privileges need to be offered here. I think that they probably can. For instance, when you talk about a traffic study that they don't have to do now. If SPS was considered not to be a problem with the traffic many, many years ago, the traffic has changed in all those years. So not doing a traffic study or whatever, other aspect you want to choose is not necessarily in the benefit of the residents. And indeed, as I said before, you are not showing other properties where this particular ordinance applies. And if you're going to undo what I said, then please be correct and allow me a chance to speak after you undo it. Thank you.
I think that's the end of public comment.
Just to clarify, the reason we can't show other properties who this would apply to,
because they haven't
it
burned
will
down
only
yet.
apply to commercial properties that have a
Catastrophic
event that destroys 50% of the value of the property. So it could apply to any property any commercial property in the township. And secondly, there is no requirement or no prohibition against members of the Board of Commissioners or the solicitor correcting a resident speaker when what they have said is factually or legally incorrect, and that's all that's occurred this evening. There's no requirement to go back to this person. This isn't counterpoint or a debate. They're allowed to make their comment if something they say is factually or legally incorrect. It's almost within your duty to correct it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments from members of the board? And if not, we can make a motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing. Oh, they already spoke. Oh, no.
When you talk about these.
So this is a public hearing. You need to
You would
state.
say, okay.
You need to state your name.
Adele Jubel,
and
Abington.
There we go.
And I just want to say that we are going to have more fires. We have too many people who are called hoarders, and they're not. They're building bags filled with I don't know what and leaving it for years on their yards, sidewalks, everywhere around their house. We have broken down cars, boats, minivans just sitting on the people's lawns, growing weeds in them. We have gas containers, I've said this before, chemicals. You need to go through everybody's neighborhood and start sending them to code court, and they're not going. I've talked about this a zillion times. People have had fires 8 and 9 years ago. You're not doing anything. We're going to have more fires. Somebody might get killed. It's not hoarding. We have people purposely destroying homes because they're involved with developers, and you are allowing it. Every time a neighbor moves, I have to worry that the next one is going to build, I don't know, put cinder blocks out there, put their minivan out for 1.5 years, and then put gas containers and chemicals around it. That is what we have. Boats, you have that a lot, Miss Laney Martin, in your area. Roslyn is filled with houses that are actually need to be destroyed at this point, or there's going to be a fire. Fires are becoming prevalent. I believe we're going to have more of them.
Are there any comments from members of the board? And if not, we'll take a motion to close the hearing.
Yep. I move to close the hearing.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing's closed.
Now I move to adopt, and Mr. Solicitor, I did screw this up, so I got to fix this now. I move for adoption of ordinance number 2237.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, we're done with public hearings, but we're back to new business.
Okay,
Vice
next
President
item,
Baker.
BOC-11-121125, motion to adopt resolution number 2536 to ensure the undisturbed use of the proposed new Abington Township Public Library main branch building as a public library for 50 years, or the useful life of the project to be funded by the grant, whichever is shorter. I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or questions for members of the board?
This is a great leap forward.
Liz, would you like to say anything? You don't have to, but you're welcome to, or you don't have to. Yeah, come on up. Good evening, Liz.
Good evening, Commissioners. I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the library staff, the Board of Trustees of the library, and on behalf of our community. I'm really excited, and I think that this is going to be a really important project for the next couple of years, and that will have a lasting impact on Abington. And we're all really excited and can't wait to get started on this project.
Well, we look forward to working with you and the team on this. This is a good thing for the township, for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for all of your work, Liz. You've been a great addition to the township these last few years.
Thank you very much.
You're
I'm
welcome.
really happy to be here.
Yeah. Okay, any further comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm not even asking the second. Let's move to the next agenda item.
BOC-12-121125, motion to authorize advertisement of the 2026 Board of Commissioners Committees, Commissions, and Council meeting schedule. I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Chrisman, is there anything you want to speak to this, or?
The only thing I would like to comment on for the board, as you're aware, throughout the year, we've talked about your business and how the board conducts business in open session. So one of the observations that you've tasked me with in my first year was to evaluate how public meetings are held and conducted and how our business operates. My recommendation to this board is that we move to a 2 meeting per month schedule beginning in January that allows township business to move more effectively and more efficiently. It allows the commissioners to have open discussion in open session and not bogged down with another working meeting and then followed by a separate business meeting. It can all be conducted under the business meeting format as a discussion item. So for example, if there was an ordinance that the board was under consideration in this new format, it would say discussion only on the agenda. The board members would, in open session, have a public discussion related to that ordinance, and then it would come up subsequently 2 weeks later at your next meeting.
Yep.
For potential advertisement, and then followed subsequently then by adoption at a later meeting, as per the advertising requirements in the code. So my recommendation is by going to this two meeting per month format, it just gives you a lot more flexibility in order to keep things moving in a more timely manner. And a great example, aside from ordinances, is this township has a very robust grant program. So a lot of times, we find ourselves being pigeonholed by the one meeting per month, one business meeting per month, where we have to try to jog a schedule that's fixed in stone with grant submissions, you know, at a different level of government, not our own. And so this allows us the flexibility to get things before you more timely for better discussion purposes. So if the board is in a position to agree to that, this is your opportunity to advertise that schedule for next year.
Yep.
By advertising all of those meetings up front right now, it allows us then to have one advertisement rather than continuously advertising throughout the year. So we do one advertisement. The board always has the ability to schedule separate meetings for whatever purpose you wish. You also have the ability to cancel meetings for lack of business. So in the event that things kind of get drawn out or we don't have enough work, summers are usually the slower time periods for a lot of municipalities. Maybe you might lose a meeting in the summer.
In the summer, yeah. That
So,
makes sense.
but this gives us the ultimate flexibility.
Yep, thank you.
Sure.
Are there comments or questions for Chris, or in general? Commissioner Bowman?
So you're saying we can cancel meetings if we see that we don't have a need for it?
Yes.
Okay, because, okay, that's fine.
Any further comments or questions? Commissioner Spiegelman?
Yes. Thank you, President Hecker. This board responds to the people that we represent, our neighbors that we represent. The very beginning of this year, our community faced an unprecedented disaster. And obviously, a lot of people stepped up, to say the least. But relative to this board, Vice President Vahey and Commissioner Bowl, whose residents were most deeply affected, sprang into action in a way that I've never seen or even done. These last the public hearings we just had, people were complaining that the advertisements were confusing and they were full of legalese, and why doesn't somebody write this up in plain English? So I wrote it up in plain English. And now, just earlier tonight, there was a complaint that these agendas they're very hard for some residents to follow. There's a lot to cram into the comment section. These agendas are pages and pages long. And now, the action we're about to take responds exactly to that. This board responds to the folks to our neighbors that we represent, and I'm very proud of this board.
Thank you, Commissioner Spiegelman. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Rothman, I'm sorry.
Just under the wire.
My peripheral vision is not what it used to be.
Nah, I just, I wanted to feel like I was part of it. Just so I understand fully, did we have flexibility before to have another meeting if we wanted to?
Sure.
And we can, so we could still do 3 if there was an emergency?
We can, yes.
We can do 1 if there's nothing.
with the board-
I just want to make sure that we can.
The Board of Commissioners always reserves the right to schedule meetings with 24 hours public notice in the newspaper of general circulation.
That's what I thought. I just want to make
So-
sure, because if we were getting rid of that flexibility, just to do something that we thought was productive,
Yeah, that
that
wouldn't
would
be-
seem counterproductive,
Yeah,
so, okay, I'm good. Thanks, Tom. I mean, Commissioner, President.
You're welcome, Drew.
You're part of it now.
Commissioner Bowman.
And along those lines, I mean, I hope that we're fully prepared to exercise that right to cancel, because as much as there may be a need for a second meeting on occasion, there's other times when we're out. and our one meeting is thin. So, you know, we'll have to see how this goes as it goes along, but I'll certainly willingly try it.
Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Next item of new business, BOC-13-121125, motion to approve a 5-year agreement with OpenGov, Inc. software for the years 2026 to 2030, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. And are there comments or questions from members of the board? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
And the last item of new business is BOC-14-121125, presentation of the Abington Township Invasive Plant Management Plan by Natural Lands.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me this evening. My name is Kelsey Boyd, and I'm with Natural Lands. I'm just pulling up a presentation right now, so you should be able to see my screen sharing now. But yes, so this evening I'm just going to present briefly on the invasive plant management plan that Natural Lands was contracted to create for Abington Township. I'll give just a brief overview of what's included in the plan. There's a whole lot more information in the actual report itself, but this should give you an idea of what's included. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Natural Lands, we're an environmental nonprofit based in southeastern Pennsylvania and southern New Jersey. Our mission is really threefold. We focus on saving open space, caring for nature, and connecting people with the outdoors. And part of that work involves working with municipalities to help them protect and care for their own open spaces, which this plan fits perfectly into. Just so you know who has been working on this project. So my name is Kelsey Boyd. I'm the Stewardship Planning Program Manager. I've been with Natural Lands for about 10 years now, and really my focus is on creating management or stewardship plans for our own preserves, as well as open spaces and parks for counties and municipalities. You can see on the screen, we also had a fairly robust team with 3 other planners, including a landscape architect, our senior director of planning, and one of our 3rd planners as well. We had our GIS director and art director involved, and importantly, we had one of our preserve managers who is also our invasive plant management coordinator as part of this team. So the purpose of this plan, as laid out in the RFP presented by the township, was to assess what invasive plants are currently present at 23 township parks and to provide recommendations for how to manage those invasive plants that currently exist, as well as how to deal with invasive plants going forward with any changing future conditions. To accomplish that purpose, we have created a narrative plan that has multiple components, including township-wide recommendations, specifically focusing primarily on an invasive plant management program. We looked at how to prioritize parks so you can get a grasp of where to start the work, because it is a lot of property to cover. So you need to know, where to start, and then in line with that, also we included recommended priority actions. So what could you do to start with? What are some of the highest needs? We looked at each park individually as well and provided a summary of current conditions and recommendations for each. As part of this project, we had public input, so we included a summary of that, as well as an assessment of current staffing levels, capacity, and what the needs would be to implement the recommendations in this plan, and then what potential funding options there might be through grant programs. To create this plan and include all those components, we had a multi-step process. So we did park assessments where we went and walked the sites for each of those 23 parks. We included stakeholder input through meetings with the Shade Tree Commission and the Environmental Advisory Council. We also met with 3 regional watershed groups. We talked with staff, and there was a public meeting in October as well to get input. With all that information, we created a narrative report that we then shared with staff, the Shade Tree Commission, and EAC for their input. And once we got that input, we finalized the plan. And then the final component of this process is tonight's presentation to the board. Where we stand right now is that all the comments have been reviewed from the staff, the Shade Tree Commission, and the EAC, and updates were made to the plan. And it is currently now with our graphics department, just going through final layout. So it is very much close to the end here. This project was started in July, and it should be completed by the end of the year. At this point, I just want to give a brief overview of some of the recommendations included in the plan. The actual report itself has a lot more information about why these recommendations are important and how to implement them. This just gives you a brief overview of what you can expect in it. One of the first components is really looking at why invasive plants should be managed. So these are exotic, aggressive plants that push out our native plants and that are poor quality habitat for our native wildlife and insects. They also can create safety risks. So for instance, invasive vines that grow rapidly into trees can make them top heavy and more likely to fall. So these trees along roads or near structures can become hazards. It could also compromise the actual integrity of forests over time and could lead to forest loss, both by, as I just described, making trees themselves susceptible, and then also preventing the regrowth of our native trees. Invasive plants can grow very rapidly, overgrowing our trails and infrastructure, so requiring a lot more maintenance, more frequent maintenance. They also rapidly spread across property boundaries, so it can jump from property to property, and your uses for landscaping or other ways that you want to take care of your property could be inhibited by these invasive plants. And also, managing invasive plants early before they're well established can reduce the need for the resources required to actually manage them. One of the biggest components of this plan is a description of how to institute an invasive plant management program. So this would set the township up to address the existing invasive plants, but also have a framework in place so that they can address any future changes to the invasive plant conditions throughout the park system, whether that be different plant species or just new instances of existing invasive plants. So that has multiple components to it. So that can include assessing and monitoring invasive plant populations, so you know what currently is happening on your parks. An invasive plant management program also includes minimizing the spread of invasive plants, having very targeted treatments of invasive plants, so trying to be as efficient and effective as possible without disturbing potentially better quality plants around them. Looking at how to prioritize parks and areas within parks so you know where to start. Next one is a really key component, which is to prioritize restoration and maintenance. So when you go in and you manage invasive plants, you may end up with an area that is now pretty open. There might be bare ground that could be prime area for the invasive plants to come back in unless you support reestablishing the native plants in that area. And then the last component is to manage deer. Deer preferentially eat our native plant species. It's what they've evolved with. It's what they prefer. So they will decimate our native plants prior to then going after the invasive plants for the ones that they'll even eat at all. There are plenty of invasive plants that they really won't touch. So these are really key components of an invasive plant management program. And again, the plan has more details about why these are important and how to actually implement them. But it also goes then into who could implement recommendations in this plan. So we looked at, as I mentioned, the staff capacity. We talked with staff and got a good understanding of, what their current capabilities are and what potential needs they may have to fully address the recommendations in this plan, which could include potentially hiring additional staff, such as a volunteer coordinator or a natural resource manager. We looked at how volunteers are currently helping to manage invasive plants, which is pretty extensive between the Shade Tree Commission and the EAC. They're cutting invasive plants back, they're pulling them out. They're also doing a lot of replanting with native plants and helping to care for those plantings through their establishment, as well as being a point of outreach and education for the community. So that kind of work could continue under the recommendations of this plan, as well as looking at how contractors could be involved to really tackle some of the bigger projects that could be carried out. Another key point of this plan is looking at how to coordinate efforts between these groups. We know there is communication between staff and volunteers and contractors already, but we also heard plenty of ways that those relationships could be improved. So there are recommendations for that. And again, thinking about how a new staff position could potentially be a liaison between staff and volunteers so that everyone is working together towards these common goals laid out in the plan in a really effective manner. To help with implementation, we did call out some priority recommendations, and these include managing the most aggressive invasive plant species. So this would be bamboo, Chinese and Japanese wisteria, and five-leaf akebia. These are all plants that really will quickly and rapidly take over a whole area and are very difficult to control, especially when they get very well established. Another priority recommendation is to manage the existing plantings. There's been a lot of resources put into restoration work already, so moving forward to keep maintaining those plantings until they can self-support themselves is really important, both to restore habitat and to protect the investment that's already been made into these plantings. We recommend deer management. We also recommend beginning or continuing management in priority parks, which are identified in the plan. Again, this idea of coordinating actions between the Shade Tree Commission, the Environmental Advisory Council, and the staff so that everyone can effectively work together. And then incorporating restoration and maintenance into all invasive plant management projects so that you do not just address the negatives, but also keep positively moving forward to a healthy native plant community. To help with implementation of the recommendations in this plan, we do include some tables in the actual written report, including a listing of all the township-wide recommendations that are included in the narrative. This graphic is just a draft. It is, like I said, currently going through our graphics team, so it'll look much nicer in the final plan. But this just gives you a sense of what is included. It lists out recommendations. It gives a ranking between 1 to 4 of what might be very critical versus what could be, maybe a little bit later on, to give a sense, again, of where to start, how to kind of wrap your arms around so many recommendations going forward. We also are including an invasive plant management table, so we list out every invasive plant that we saw during the site visits and how they can be managed using best management practices, the timing, who can implement them. How to dispose of the invasive plants was a key question that came up when talking with staff. And then just notes about if it's toxic, how the plants spread and how that might impact management, if there's any kind of really similar lookalikes, just kind of tips to help with the actual management. Beyond the township-wide recommendations, we do have recommendations for each of the individual parks that we assessed. And for that, we included a park summary, so each has their own section that looks at current conditions, desired conditions, if there's any related plans for this. We looked at the management needs and maintenance needs. We looked at what native plants could be used in these areas to restore them, potential staff costs, staff time and costs for both management of the invasive plants and restoration, and then maps and pictures to help kind of illustrate what's being discussed. This just gives a brief example of what these will look like. This is a 2-page spread that you're seeing right here for the Ardsley Wildlife Sanctuary. But you can see there is a short description of the property. And then especially for the larger properties, we divided them up into different areas based on what plants were present and what the conditions are, so you can have a better grasp of where the recommendations apply to. We list out what native plants we saw during the site visits, as well as what invasive plants we saw. And then for each park, we include a management table that has all the recommended actions in regards to managing invasive plants and restoring native species, what priority they are, when they can be done, who can implement them, and then if it's an action that needs to be repeated over time, so you have a sense of, how involved this work might be. Beyond this, we do also include, as I mentioned, maps and photos to help just illustrate what all this is describing. So that's a very, very quick snapshot of what is included in this plan, but hopefully it gives you a little sense of where this is all going. As for final steps for this plan process, as I mentioned, the plan is right now going through final layout and includes changes as suggested by the staff, the Shade Tree Commission, and the EAC to just kind of make this as effective as possible. Once that's completed, we'll be sharing out the final plan and going through the project closeout. So we are very much close to the end of this project. If after this meeting there are any questions about the timing of the plan being distributed or any other follow-up questions, you can reach out to Rick Traley's, our Senior Director of Planning, who Ashley does have contact info for as well. Just want to plug this because I am actually going on leave for the next few months, so I will not be the main contact person, but you can get a hold of the rest of our project team as well.
Okay.
So thank you. We've really honestly enjoyed this project. It's been great to see, how involved the Shade Tree Commission, the staff, and the EAC have been with this. as well as the public input we were able to get through the public meeting, and just see how engaged the community is around this issue. So it's been a really great project, and hopefully this plan is helpful for moving forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate the expertise that you and your colleagues have brought to this initiative, and we look forward to delving into this plan in detail and working with the manager and the staff to implement this over the course of the next year and beyond. And we appreciate partnering with the Natural Lands organization. And if we have questions, we will follow up with the gentleman that you listed.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
And with that, we're going to now turn to the Finance Committee and Finance Committee Chair Stuart Weingrad.
Thank you, President Hecker. First item, FC01121125, motion to award Urban Design Ventures as a community development consultant and authorize the township manager to enter into a contract, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next item, FC02121125, motion to remain with the Hartford as the life and disability insurance provider for the township through October 31, 2027, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Third item, FC03121125, motion to authorize the budget transfers and supplemental appropriations for the fiscal year 2025, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there comments or questions from members of the board? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
And our last item is FC04121125, a motion to approve the October 2025 expenditures in the amount of $2,952,902.98 and salaries and wages in the amount of $3,640,227.09, and authorizing the proper officials to sign and approve invoices and supporting documentation and payment of bills and contracts as they mature through the month of January 2026, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioners Brodsky, Rothman. Yes. DePlacido,
Yes.
Laney Martin. Yes. Brown,
Yes.
Weingrab,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
DePone. Yes. Young Gertz,
Yes.
Spiegelman,
Yes.
Bowl,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Vice President Vehe,
Yes.
President Hecker.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Liz. That was a much better roll call than mine.
Thank you.
So we're finished with the Finance Committee, but we have the rare appearance of the Pension Committee this evening, and with that, we will turn to Commissioner Spiegelman.
Well, despite the fact that I technically get to close out the whole year, I'll keep this relatively brief. We have one agenda item from the Pension Committee, and it is item PC-01-121125. And this is a motion to adopt resolution number 25-037, setting the police pension contribution rate for 2026 at 5% of compensation, and I so move.
It has been moved and seconded, quite well, I might add.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's been moved and seconded, because, yeah, that's what
Are there any
Commissioner
comment-
Weingrad gets to say. Any questions or comments from commissioners? Hearing none.
Oh, wait a sec. You don't get the...
I don't get to, I thought he gets to.
No.
Was I imagining that?
You used to do this.
I know. I guess I miss it so much. Please.
Actually, by all
jump in.
means, we're going to suspend the rules. Commissioner Spiegelman, take the vote.
Yes, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, well, that concludes the business.
No,
of
it
the-
doesn't quite yet.
No,
but-
it doesn't?
No, it concludes the Pension Committee, but no.
Of the Pension Committee, the business
Yes.
of the Pension Committee.
Yes, sir.
Back to you, President Hecker.
Thank you. Obviously, that
And
was
happy
not...
holidays
That was
to
not
you.
scripted. Before we adjourn, we will now open it up for general public comment, and you may come forward, state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Adele Cubell, Abington. Responding to citizen concerns is important, and that doesn't happen here. A year and a half ago, I submitted a petition for a library improvement for Roslyn Library. You refused to take it. Every commissioner refused to take a petition signed by
That's not true.
300 people. Yes, it's true. Miss Gallagher sat there, she refused to take it. The police lieutenant, he took it. He took the petition and gave it to the police chief at the time, who now doesn't recall. This happened, it was written about in Abington Patch, absolutely. By any standard, nothing I did or said at the July board meeting would be considered a veiled threat or an outburst. It is inexcusable that Mr. Malloy, the police chief, lies to accommodate commissioners and officials that approve of dangerous decline and are against free speech. The Glenside Local, Mr. Malloy's go-to internet publication, is not a news organization. The Glenside Local writes exactly what officials want reported. Mr. Tierney even says that. Mr. Malloy sent an inappropriate email to another citizen asking them to assist with my mental health as if he's an expert. He then immediately forwarded the same inappropriate email to Glenside Local for publication. Mr. Malloy's breach of trust is appalling. It's disgusting. There has never been one report that I abuse my dogs. One neighbor complains that he wants my windows closed on summer days so he doesn't hear small amounts of barking. That is the complaint. Why would Mr. Malloy, a respected police chief, want fabricated information published? Mr. Malloy went on to publicly label me a potential threat based on the words of those that want me silenced. Mr. Malloy admits to conducting no investigation, and he failed to look at easy-to-obtain video footage. He parroted false accusations made by Mr. Hecker, Mr. McEnany, Mike Jones of Public Works, and Ashley McElvaney. Meanwhile, the township has video of Mr. McEnany exploding at me for no reason at all. There is no video footage of me abusing anyone verbally. There is no market footage of me yelling at Mr. Hecker. No video footage of me mistreating police officers or anyone at any time. The Glenside Local published made-up nonsense to intentionally silence me. Finally, approximately 40% of Abington homes are controlled by developers. That's a small estimate. It does not matter who is listed on the deed.
All right, Ms. Kubel, your time has expired.
These
Please
homes are
conclude your
incrementally
comments.
being blighted.
Thank you for your comments. Please take your seat.
Do not tell me I lied, because you know.
I didn't say a
you
word.
take-
I asked you to take your
Sure.
seat. Please take your seat. Please come forward if you wish to speak. Yeah, look at you.
Good
Come
evening,
next.
Commissioners. My name's Patricia Gallagher. I'm an Abington resident.
Yes.
And I have far glasses and near glasses.
Oh.
So I'm going to trade to my near glasses so I can make some comments.
Sure.
I wanted to comment on the presentation about the invasive plant management plan. I'm very involved with the Shade Tree Commission and
Thank you.
my pleasure, some days, helping to manage a lot of our natural spaces and what the Shade Tree Commission mission encompasses. So just want to let you know, if you're not aware of it, our tree canopy and our open spaces are under threats from many factors, and managing invasives should be a top priority for our existing natural spaces. So as a township, we've been very successful in getting grants for restorations. We just finished the Phase 2 Ardsley Wildlife Sanctuary restoration. The Army Corps of Engineer projects with Grove and Rochester Park restoration was just recently completed. One of the problems with getting funding is that there's never funds for maintenance, right? So I've been managing the Phase 1 Ardsley Wildlife Restoration Sanctuary since it was completed in 2019. Another volunteer, a couple of volunteers and I go in there every year to cut down invasives so that the restoration can proceed
Can grow, yeah.
and establish itself. So I think it is really important that we adopt this plan, but once we adopt the plan, we really need to think about how we're going to fund it, how we're going to implement it, how we're going to find the funding to hire a volunteer coordinator or a natural resource manager or apply for grants for implementation. So I'm very much in support of the natural lands approach. I think it's really important that we manage deer within our township. It would be great if we could do, a county-wide deer management approach, but we could start here. And I also think that the priority of top-down approach, like starting by cutting out invasive vines out of our tree canopy to preserve the existing canopy, is critical. Because everywhere you go, I'm sure you drive all over the township and you see these beautiful green vines growing up the trees and killing the trees. So I only have 30 seconds left. So I do hope that the commissioners decide to adopt this and also start to think about how can we implement this. Our natural spaces are really important to all of us, to our health, to our well-being, to our happiness, to the environment, to managing stormwater. You probably know many of the benefits, and if not, email me. I'll give you a primer. Ashley has my email address, and I'm on the Shade Tree Commission website. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you for the suggestion, too. It's a very good one, I believe. Yes, please come forward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
My name's Marion Thauner, and I live in Rydell. And I really appreciate the opportunity tonight to make an important request of you, which coincidentally is consistent with the invasive.
We didn't do that purposefully, but it worked out well.
I'm sitting over there with my husband nudging him, you know. So I'm going to read this so I'm quicker. My request is for Abington to develop a deer management program. The white-tailed deer population in Montgomery County and Abington far exceeds what our suburban setting can support, creating health, safety, and property risks. We know deer spread Lyme and other serious tick-borne diseases. Montgomery County has some of the highest Lyme case numbers in Pennsylvania. Deer cause vehicle accidents, some resulting in human fatalities. Pennsylvania has reached a 5-year high for deer collisions. And excessive deer strip their habitat, starve themselves and other wildlife. Adult deer eat 4 to 10 pounds of vegetation per day, but not invasive vegetation. Wildlife experts say one deer needs on average 20 acres of land. Using that formula, Abington's 375 acres of parks and open spaces could support about 19 deer. I have photos of 19 deer in my yard.
I know.
Okay, no wonder the deer are hungry. They do not have enough woodland, so they resort to private property. Our excessive deer population will not resolve on its own. Without a natural predator, we can expect our deer population to continue to double every 2 to 3 years because the average doe produces dozens of offspring.
It does.
The solution is a deer management program. The Pennsylvania Game Commission states, deer are a valuable natural resource, but they must be closely managed or they will quickly overpopulate. Population control can only be facilitated through regulated harvest of female deer. A sound management program is essential. This is achievable. Nearby townships like Upper Dublin, Cheltenham, and White Marsh, as well as environmental groups like Pennypack Ecological Restoration Park and Norristown Farm Park, have successfully implemented controlled deer hunts and management programs. Residents like me know when they see dead deer on Abington's roads, when they've had loved ones with Lyme disease, or they have their landscaping destroyed, that our deer population is out of balance. As an informed resident, I know it is time to reduce our deer population. I've witnessed the progression of the deer problem over the 23 years I have lived in Abington. Some community members may fear the idea of reducing the deer population. So Abington, like other communities, will want to educate and assure those residents that safe and responsible reduction is possible and wise. Postponing action will worsen our problem. I urge the commissioners to prioritize a safe and effective deer management program for the benefit of all Abington residents and our deer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you coming out this evening. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room that wishes to speak? And if not, we'll turn to Zoom.
Laura Lehman.
So much to say. Oh, my goodness. So on Mr. Clark's rebuttal of speaking over a resident's comments, that's completely inappropriate, Mr. Clark. Your facts are not necessarily better. I have heard more lies from that dais than I have heard from any resident in Abington Township. And it's actually stunning that you would say that, because it's not appropriate. Those are not appropriate rules of speaking. And Mr. Spiegelman just proved my point when he tried to negate what I said about a lot of pages, because he didn't understand it. So he just tried to undo it without understanding it. So that is not correct, and we don't need alternative facts. So
We agree on that.
the end of the meeting that we had, well, let me just go back to the beginning again. So with Mr. Narkowicz, that was unforgivable that he put together a comprehensive plan, not alone. Mr. Manfredi and others were involved, that actually sought to dupe the residents of Abington Township into believing that there were thousands of units that need to be built, until we looked into where they got those numbers. And of course, that was not true. Those units already are owned by people, and they will build on them. It was stunning to see how that happened. And there was never an apology. There was never any kind of retraction. And for him to continue to be our planner when that was his role is a shame. Jeanette Herman and Mr. Weingrad at the last finance meeting said that they would get the information that they couldn't provide right then at the meeting. Then just days before the meeting, this meeting, when that information was needed, Jeanette wrote me and said, I would have to put in a right to know. This kind of behavior is just unconscionable. And the ordinances that affect other properties and so on and need to be discussed, we used to have meetings, we had 2 days, Tuesday and Thursday, of committee meetings that were broken out into reasonable and understandable categories and headed by different people who now sit quiet on the dais and say almost nothing. But all of the commissioners were involved at that time. And we knew that we could go to a certain commissioner with a problem with zoning or something else. And they were very responsive. And then on top of that, they then had the main meeting. What you're doing now is, what you did was try to jump 2 months together into the same night, which is what caused all the problems. And then you removed the speaking rights. We just need to get back to a modicum of actual caring about the rights and the needs of the residents.
Ms. Lehman, please conclude your comments. Your time has expired.
Okay, I will, thank you. My last comment would be that I think the new website is going to be an improvement. It looks to be something that will be an improvement, which it was not the last time it was altered. So I want to say one more thing.
Actually, thank you, Ms. Lehman, for your comments. We're going to end there. Before we adjourn for the evening and for the year, actually, I do want to take a moment and just acknowledge our manager. So Chris Chrisman, who joined us in January of last year, and I know that I speak on behalf of the board when I say we've had an excellent year under your leadership, and we are incredibly grateful for the direction and the guidance that you've provided, and we're excited about the work ahead, and we're really glad that you decided to join us a year ago, and we're just thrilled that you're here. So thank you for your dedication, for your leadership, and for your patience with us in learning more about how you've gone about it, and you've made incredible improvements, and we're going to see more over this period of time. But it's a pleasure to work with you, Chris. Thank you very much. You're welcome. And with that, we are adjourned.